guys, welcome back to yet another live stream, another episode of the Chelsea Hangover. And I am like hungover from happiness after these results week after week under Thomas Tuchel. I'm so freaking happy. This is going to be a shorter episode for you guys. Some people in the comments did say, oh, I wish that your streams are a little bit shorter so it's not as overwhelming to watch replaying. And your wish is my command, but really because I'm going bouldering with my husband at 6:30 my time on the dot. But that being said, let me stop talking so that we can actually talk about football. I'm joined by two incredible guests. Well, you guys know Jam. He's been on the channel before. Jam, very quick, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, as always.
Yeah, okay.
Bringing the energy. Let's go.
We're just going to keep flying. And a first-time guest on my channel, Craig, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm all good. Third live stream I've done, but yeah, I'm slowly going on. I got one more to do as well, but I'm getting there.
Oh my God, I think the most I've ever done is 3 in a day. And after that, I was absolutely destroyed. So hopefully we change the talking points a little bit. Hopefully you're not repeating yourself for the third time. So guys, that brings me to my next point. If you have any questions that you want us to get to, that you want to know the answer to, make sure to leave us a comment in the comment box so that we can get to all of your questions. So I'm just going to start it off. I saw that starting 11 come out and I was pretty happy with it. It was basically the starting 11 that I had predicted, which says a lot under Thomas Tuchel, I think. But for one name, Kepa, I was so surprised to see him in the starting 11. I think the goalkeeper position was one of the only ones that I said, oh yes, definitely Mendy, definitely. And then Kepa was starting. I was shocked. Craig, what did you think when you saw Kepa on the team sheet?
It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. I get that they're trying to probably get a few more quid out of him, but it just didn't seem like a necessary risk to me at all. It baffled me, and even the inclusion of Tammy baffled me as well. Don't know what I expected, but I didn't see Tammy being involved. Obviously, he wasn't involved that long, unfortunately. But the Mendy one just massively threw me because I understand what the board's doing. But, I mean, we hear Arsenal fans and Man United fans all the time moan about the board and about the board getting involved in certain matters that maybe they shouldn't get involved in. And I just didn't want that to be the case for us. And now it looks like this is a potential example of them getting involved where maybe they shouldn't. So, I don't know. I mean, he didn't obviously make a mistake. But if we would have lost or drawn yesterday, if we'd have been 2-0 up and then dropped to 2-2, thrown away 2 points, everyone would have been fuming. I especially because of how poor we've been in the last 2 months. I just didn't see what the point was because points matter so much to us at the moment. Playing in a cup game, okay, but in this, it just made no sense. But obviously it didn't cost us, which is great. But yeah, it just didn't seem worth the hassle, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. That was kind of my first reaction when I saw it come out because I was thinking Mendy has the third highest clean sheets in the Premier League this season, and he didn't even start the first month and a half of the season. So I didn't really see how it warranted him to get dropped. And some people, I tweeted about this and I saw so many different responses under my tweet. Some people were saying that Kepa played well in the cup and that he merited a start in the Premier League. But my response to that was, well, your second goalkeeper usually plays in the cup and that's the normal thing. And then your starting goalkeeper plays basically every single Premier League game unless he's injured or you have like a Kepa of last year situation type thing. So
did he really play that well in the cup though? Did he really play that well? Like, he kept a clean sheet.
Sheet's a clean sheet. That's it,
but,
really.
I mean, he was one that came for the punch that Tammy then had to clear off the line. If he'd have claimed it and come and got it, then different question. But he almost cost the team. It was just lucky Tammy was in the right place at the right time. But yeah, I don't think he played that well.
Yeah. So, Jem, I want to ask you a question. Some people are saying that everybody has a clean start, a clean slate under Thomas Tuchel. So that's why Kepa started. So because everybody's starting from zero. So do you think that really makes sense? Because for me, I also think, well, then why did Zuma not get a start so far in the Premier League? because if everybody has a clean sheet, surely he should just get at least 1 star. I don't know, and see how he plays under that logic. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's all part of the new manager bounce. Like, Tuchel's been very good with what he said coming in, and you're always going to get some sort of a reaction from the players, and that's quite a generic thing to say. Everyone gets a clean slate. It is really, because that's kind of bollocks, to be honest. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but it is. Let's be honest. That only goes so far.
I didn't even know that was a swear word in British English.
Yeah, well, there you go. But it is. Come on, he says it and he wants a reaction. Probably, I mean, we don't see what goes on in the training pitch, but it's not the full truth. I mean, he's come out straight away and said after the game yesterday that Mendy still is number 1, for example. And unfortunately, with the formation he's playing, some players are going to lose out, as we've seen. And one of those right now is Zuma, because he obviously feels that the other players are better suited to that team, to that formation. You could also argue that maybe Pulisic is a victim of it as well at the moment. Ziyech is another one. And that's always going to happen with a squad as big as ours, as competitive as ours. So I think you have to take that statement with a pinch of salt. Like, it's always going to happen. I would do that if I was going in as a new manager tomorrow. I'd say that. Yeah, it's a clean slate for everyone. And then be like, yeah, bollocks. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say, my theory is that, like, 2 things. One, Kepa costs 70 million, and it doesn't look good for somebody that you pay 70 million for to be sitting on the bench week in, week out, because that looks a bit like a failure. And 2, if the club are trying to sell Kepa in the summer, you want to try to, if you play him, if he plays well, at least, you can try to increase his value. Maybe not that much, but a little bit, to try to get as much out of him as you can. I personally don't see him staying past the summer unless Marina is really stubborn and says, oh, I want 50 million or 60 million for this guy, which you're never going to get, I don't think, especially in the market. I think that he would probably leave and Chelsea would be in the market for a goalkeeper. I think Mendy is probably a stopgap. I think that he does the job, but I think that long term, maybe another year or 2, Chelsea will be looking for a long-term goalkeeper. So thank you guys who are active in the comments. Make sure to get your questions in. And so I want to move on. We're in the first half. I thought that Chelsea were playing pretty well, and there's a penalty shout from Tammy Abraham. He unfortunately gets injured. So Craig, is that a penalty in your opinion?
My first thought was no, I must be honest. I mean, I think if you look back at it loads of times, you could maybe start to bend it in your favour. But my instant thought was no. I thought it was a really good tackle. There is contact there before contact is made with the ball. But is the contact there enough for him to go down and maybe the way that he did or whatever? Or take him down in any way, shape or form? And I don't think it was. I just do think it was a really good tackle. Again, you can watch it 50 times and you can come up with a different opinion, but the job of VAR is to change clear and obvious errors, and I don't feel like it was a clear and obvious error. Like, it wasn't a stonewall penalty. It was, maybe could have been a penalty. I don't think it was a penalty, so it's not clear. It's not a clear and obvious mistake. And I know a lot of people are going, "Oh, why didn't it even get looked at?" But for me, I just think it's a really good tackle. Honestly, I mean, maybe that's growing up the way that I did. My dad played centre half, so he said everything's a good tackle anyway. But I mean, yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good tackle personally. I think Jamal Lascelles is a really good player. Actually, I thought he put a very good foot in and won the ball. You're always going to get a little bit of man. I mean, again, you can bend it in your favour any way you want, depending on who you support.
Well, I was surprised that it didn't even go to VAR, because we've seen far less things go to VAR. It seems like anytime there's any sort of tackle or anything in the penalty box, it will go to VAR. So
this is not a Man United badge. That's why. This is a Chelsea badge.
Or Liverpool one.
Yeah, or Liverpool. Yeah.
So that's what I was surprised about, that it wasn't like checked. But looking back on it, it does seem like Tammy was trying to like draw the foul and kind of like put his leg into the defender's body, and I think that's why it wasn't a penalty as well. And poor Tammy, because you just saw the look on his face, like when he was injured and he couldn't continue anymore. Jem, how you feeling about Tammy? I feel bad for him because he has so much competition, especially in that spot. I feel like anybody could really play there in the system as well. Like Pulisic can probably play there. Havertz, when he's fit, Giroud can play there as well. So there's so much competition for that one spot, and now he's out injured for who knows how long.
Yeah, do you know what? Just quickly on the injury, I don't think it'll be that long. He walked off the pitch, and these days, you know, all the things that they've got to help recover from these ankle injuries, he'll be back like that. Look at Harry Kane. I mean,
Yeah.
I know he always has glass ankles and that, but he came back quite quickly. You know?
I was so pissed. I transferred him out of my fantasy team, and then he was back like the next week. I was like, "What the heck?"
You did this a lot this week. He only got 2 points. So gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is it. So Tammy will be back and firing in no time. I have no doubt about that. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and that's being our top scorer. Simple as that. You know, stats don't lie at the end of the day. Yes, you can look into the teams that he's been scoring against, but does that matter really? He's hitting the back of the net. Okay, you could say as a team, maybe our attack don't tend to do so well against the bigger teams. He will get there. You know, he's still a young striker. Sometimes strikers mature at an older age. Look at Drogba, for example, who is likened to a lot sometimes, you could say. I think Tammy's fine. He's got the mentality to improve, let's say. You know, I've always rated him since he came back from missing that penalty in the Super Cup against Liverpool to come back and be our top scorer of that league season and get help, you know, being a big part of getting us into the top 4 was massive. And he's developed from that. I really do think he has. Yes, there are some things he really needs to work on, because I still think when he's not on it, he's bad. But then if you look at someone like Drogba, when he wasn't on it, he'll still get an assist or something. So he will get there. There are things that he could do to get there. But look, don't worry about Tammy. I think he's got the mentality to succeed with Chelsea.
One thing very quickly about the penalty is if Tammy would have taken a better touch, he would have buried the chance. But he took a very poor touch, which led to the foul being committed. If he'd just taken it down and buried it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So it's not all on there, but it's very much a Tammy Abraham thing, needs to improve as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And when I saw the pass, I was like, "Oh, that's so beautiful!" And Tammy controlled it. I was like, "Yes!" And then he went down. I was like, "No, why did he not take a touch on that or take a shot?" Because I do feel, like you said, I do feel like that could have potentially at least been a shot on target, at least. So, we did get a question from Ali. She says, "Do you feel that currently any player post Lampard's first season will just be benched for Lampard players starting against Newcastle?" So by Lampard players, I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Do you mean academy players or signings that he brought in, perhaps? Because we know the players like Ziyech and Chilwell haven't been playing, and they may not fit into this formation under Tuchel. So I'll kind of change this question a bit and say, where do you see players like Ben Chilwell, like Hakim Ziyech, even a Christian Pulisic fitting into this side? Craig, I'll start with you since Jen was just talking.
I don't see him fitting in, honestly. Hakim Ziyech isn't made for this 3 at the back system with kind of playing really narrow. His game is crossing the ball in from wide, which he's not doing at the moment, and he's not going to do unless he wants to play right wing back, which he's not good enough to do. So I think he's going to really struggle. Pulisic, I've got a little bit more hope for, because he can play, whether it's wide on the left, he could actually play as a wing back. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that every now and again. I've got a little bit more hope for him. But another one, Kai Havertz, I can't really see where he's going to fit in, depending on what happens in the summer and who we potentially bring in. I've said that for a while, though, about Kai Havertz, to be fair. I look at certain things and think he's really good. And in others, I just think, well, this is a luxury. And at the moment, we can't afford the luxuries. So, yeah, I am slightly worried about the money that we've spent, and these players aren't going to be able to fit in. But that also speaks massive credit for the success of the youth players. I think maybe Tammy Abraham potentially goes out on loan or becomes third choice, depending on if we sign the centre forward next year. But obviously, he started yesterday. Mason Mount, I thought, was great. I'm a massive advocate of Mason Mount, if you know anything about me. Callum Hudson-Odoi, given a very difficult role playing as a wing-back, been very impressed by him, whether it be on the right-hand side or even when he briefly played on the left-hand side as a wing-back as well. It just speaks massive credit to the players that we've already got. And one of the main things I was kind of really annoyed about when Frank Lampard got the sack is that certain players weren't pulling their own weight and certain performances weren't there from individual players. Not saying that Lampard wasn't at fault at all, but it didn't help the situation. Whereas these players now, you're slowly starting to see improvements and standards being upped, shall we say. So I'm looking forward to where this team can go. But in terms of the new signings, sometimes they don't work out. And I don't want to be the one to say it right now, but this is something that we really could be looking at. Is some of these players not working out, unfortunately?
Yeah, I feel like in the case of Kai Havertz, perhaps it was a case of timing that you have this talent that's touted as being one of the best in Europe, a potential future Ballon d'Or winner, and Chelsea were really the only team in contention to buy him because they were the only one that could afford him. So they said, oh, well, let's do it before anybody else snatches him up and let's figure out where he fits in. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like Tuchel was probably brought in to try to fit in the majority of those summer signings because we saw that they really weren't playing well under Lampard. And I got the feeling that towards the end, Lampard kind of had run out of ideas about where to best play them and which system fitted them and their best position. And I do think that Tuchel has a better idea about that. But like you said, in this specific formation, I don't see where the likes of Kai Havertz fits in unless he's maybe covering for Mason Mount in a game. But that being said, I do think that we're not going to see this formation forever.
Yes.
I think three center backs for me, I usually just don't like it because I find it very, very, very defensive minded. And we've seen that we can make it more attacking minded by playing those two very attacking minded wing backs. But still, I just don't think it's going to be necessary. I think that it's more an issue of like we were losing so many games, we were conceding so many goals, so try to sturdy that up, build from the defense, and then we can look at the attack, and then maybe in the summer once you have a preseason we can look at where everybody fits in. But for now it's just very short-term thinking. We need to stop leaking goals, we need to stop losing games, we need to start winning, and we need to get top 4. Jem, what do you think about all of this?
Yeah, I think you've both had some really good points. I like what Craig said about, big up to the youth guys that come from Cobham FC, big up. Ellie, you're right as well. I don't think Tuchel's going to play free at the back forever. He's quite a fluid guy. So we're going to see some changes that might incorporate one of these extra attackers. Because let's be honest, we have these guys not to play a free at the back. We've got so many attacking-minded players. They can't all fit into a formation that's got one less attacker in that sense. So I think we'll see a change, but he's done the three at the back initially just to shore things up, as he said, Ellie. Also, what I would say about the summer signings is you also have to look at how far they are in their development in their careers. So someone like Kai Havertz, I think you have to judge such a guy after maybe the second season. That sounds like a bit of a long time, but let's be honest, he's had a bit of a tough season, hasn't he, for various reasons. Obviously, the virus, which you cannot say on here. But that, yeah. So, let's give him a bit of slack, maybe, and judge him a little bit later. I think maybe a little bit could be said for Timo Werner, although we've seen a lot more glimpses of what he could do. And he has suffered, but hopefully he can kick on from that goal. Ziyech is the one that's now starting to disappoint me a little bit. Obviously, he actually had a decent start to this season. My favourite summer signing, by the way. I thought he's going to have the biggest impact. Yeah, now it's in a balance. Thiago Silva, he hits the ground running because of his experience, doesn't he? You expect that, and that's what he's done. And Mendy, to be fair, has done the same. So whilst he's kind of trailed off a little bit with his form, when he came in, he hit the ground running. So you have to look at their development in their careers as well as their fees and, other factors too. So I wouldn't write any of them off yet necessarily. I don't think any of you did, but, we certainly should ask questions and start to scrutinize it a little bit, like Craig was saying.
Yeah, I think that we're it's also important, I think, to kind of let the players gain some chemistry with each other on the pitch. And that's really difficult to do when you're constantly changing positions and changing the formation and changing who's starting. And something else I wanted to bring up is that we really don't know who Chelsea are going to sell in the summer. Like, Jorginho has been touted as leaving like basically every summer since he's joined. I think his contract is up in maybe 2 years or so. So like, he could be somebody that's leaving. N'Golo Kante is a question mark as well. So there are opportunity. We will need to reassess after seeing which players actually stay with us. And then we did get a question from Blues FPL. He says, do you think we're playing a boring style under Tuchel? And I think this kind of fits into everything that we've just been talking about. Like we said, I don't think that it's necessarily boring. I just think that we're trying to get wins, and that's what's important. Just get 3 points, keep getting 3 points, and build off of that momentum. So, oh my God, I'm almost out of time. So before we wrap up, I want to ask you guys about another player, Timo Werner. He looks like he's been getting a little bit more confidence. You could just see the wave of relief wash over his face when the VAR check was finished. His goal was confirmed. He was smiling so much. I was so happy for him. And I hope that this helps him to build up some confidence. And so he's not so in his head like, oh, I haven't scored in X games. I haven't scored in 1,000 minutes. Like, oh, all the headlines are about me not scoring. Now he scored. That's off the table. And hopefully he can build off of this. And I do think that he's looking like a better player under Tuchel. Craig, what do you think?
I was thinking back to this. The only players I think I've ever been happy to see a goal drought end was Hazard when he had his really bad season in 15-16, and Mikel. That was about it. Because when Werner's goal went in yesterday, I loved it so much because the first goal, obviously he didn't score it, but he made it himself. I don't know any other better way to say it, so apologise for my language. But he looked very, very pissed off about he got the caught in the face.
Yeah.
And he used that aggression. And he went, no, I'm going to go for this. And he took on one person. And he got to a position he didn't really want to be in. And he then made another little dart. And he made the effort. And although it, of course, didn't go in, he won't get a kind of an assist given to his name. He made that goal. And I really like that. Because for the next 10 minutes, after getting the slap in the face, he got an assist and he scored. And I love that. And you can see for months, when he's not been scoring, you can see he's really frustrated. And I love that because it shows that he cares, whether it be for himself, whether it be for the club. Obviously, it's a bit of a new one for him. But I love the fact that he cares. I love the fact that, he knew he hasn't been good enough. And that was the kind of thing. That was a little bit of the fuel. That was the match and bang. That's what he can do. He's looked a lot better in the last few weeks. And I want to see more from it. But there are a lot of people, especially in my mates group chat, so many people cite him for so many different things. There is a good player in there. There really is a good player in there. I don't know where the best position is to play him, personally. I think we all kind of hoped he would be on out-and-out number 9. But actually, are we looking at him more as a left forward now, which I think is realistic? Let's see more of this. Let's build on it. And to be honest with you, when he scored in the cup games previously, I was kind of like, why are we not playing him after this? Why are we not, getting him and continue the form? This is what I want to see from this. I want to see Timo Werner play more games. And especially yesterday's performance, I thought was superb. Thought Kovacic probably was man of the match in hindsight. But, you can't not give it to him for basically creating a goal and scoring himself. So happy for him.
Yeah, no, I give it to Werner just because he did create the goal and score. And I think without that contribution, you're tied. So that's why I gave him man of the match. But Kovacic definitely had such a great game as well. And it's really nice to see him getting back to his best self. Jam, we have a question, slightly unrelated question. It says, is that the expensive kit or the slightly less expensive kit?
It's the expensive version. Yeah. I had to go for that one. And it actually looks much better in person. Trust me. I was questioning this kit, but it's quite nice. Got to admit.
The kits are so expensive. I was like, can I pull off a child's extra large? Like, I might just go for it because it's so much. But I did see one question. Somebody asked, like, where are you from in New York? I'm from Long Island. I'm not from the city. And I lived in the city for 2.5 years before moving to Spain in like central midtown, 51st and 7th. Yeah, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, thank you so much for your comments as well. I'm sorry that we didn't get to as many as I would have liked to, but hopefully this condensed version was nice. And let me know if you prefer like a 30-minute stream, a 60-minute. Oh, there's a car pulling out, and I'm sorry for the noise. Let me know which one you prefer so that I can kind of gauge what to do in the future. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Jam, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at carefree_jam, and obviously on the Chelsea social as well, YouTube channel. Check it out.
Perfect. And Craig?
Craigo28 football, Craigo28 sport on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, Craigo.28. I'm on Twitter, the Craigo28, and I'm on TikTok, which is Craigo28.
So you have like a little variation of everything. Mine's the same because I can't fit Elizabeth in my Twitter handle, so I had to put Ellie in it. I was like, oh, I was off by one character. I was so annoyed, but. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me in this episode. If you like this video, please drop it a like. Honestly, there's a lot of people that watch these videos but aren't subscribed, and it really would help me out so much if you subscribe to my channel as well. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.